Hello there, people of the internet. I apologize if the camera angle's not great here. My camera doesn't have a screen on it, and I'm just kind of winging this. But you know what? This is going to be kind of a laxed video. I want to show y'all what I have here. So, the other night, I got, like, super drunk. Like, whiskey drunk. Like, it was a really good time. And while I was doing my whole inebriation process, I decided to myself, you know what, let's try and do something fun. So I had some aluminum bar stock outside, and I discovered that a 5/16 drill bit is approximately anywhere from 310 diameter to 315 diameter, and well, there's not really any specification for these super, like, cheap drill bits like what I have in my garage. So you're going to have some discrepancies, but it's going to be somewhere around that. And I discovered that my particular drill bit was a 310 diameter, and that was perfect for making a bullet mold. So literally what I did is I took a piece of aluminum bar stock, and I cut out a little, say, 2-inch section just using a hacksaw. As you can see, this is absolutely not professional grade at all. But I cut out a piece of aluminum bar stock about 2 inches long using a hacksaw, and then I used that same hacksaw to cut it in half, making 2 halves. And then I put this inside of a vise, and I took a hand drill, and I purposefully angled the hole, and I drilled out a 3/16, or not a 3/16, a 5/16 drill bit hole, probably about, oh, I don't know, an 1.5 inches deep or whatever it is that I ended up coming up with at that particular time. My goal was to get around 140 to 150 grain bullets, and I think I did pretty okay on that. So my philosophy for how I made this was actually kind of sound, which is good because of how drunk I was. So I knew that my drunk self would never be able to keep this steady while I was drilling down into it, especially with these 2 halves. I get that they were fastened down inside of a vise, but, you know, whenever you're 2 sheets to the wind, it's really incredible the things that you come up with. So I purposefully cut this at an angle to try and make it as accurate as possible, and the reason why I cut it as an angle, at an angle to make it as accurate as possible, is because I wanted as much of the hole to be inside of one piece of the metal as possible in comparison to the other. If you'll notice, the bullet hole for this one, like, there's not much hole there. I basically just wanted access to the side of the bullet so I could push the projectile out of the mold. But I wanted as much of the mold as possible to be inside one section of this, or as much of the bullet as possible to be inside one section of this mold, because I knew that my drunk self would not be very good at what it is that I was doing, and I needed to rely on the drill bit to kind of take the wheel for me. So after I did that, I added these 2 little pegs. These are just, oh, what do you call these? They're like roll pins that I kind of squeezed into these drill bit holes that I used to line this thing up. And then, whenever this thing is lined up, I literally just kind of hold it with a pair of pliers, and I melt some lead into it. And then after that, I have a wood chisel that I just kind of scrape the excess lead off, and then I'm left with a lead bullet. And then I kind of shake this a little bit with my pliers. I grab, this is why these are sticking out, I grab these with my pliers, shake it a little bit, then this falls off, I take a screwdriver, and I kind of very gingerly push that projectile out, and then I have a roughly 30 caliber diameter projectile. And this is what it looks like. Hold on, I got it here somewhere. This is what it looks like. So, as you can see, it's not very refined, it's not very straight, but you know what? I'm willing to bet that it is going to fire. So my goal was 140 to 150 grain projectiles, and I knew that it was gonna be rough. So whenever I had made these, I put up a photo of these with the mold, and I got a lot of hate, like, in the comments for that particular photo. And the people who are saying, like the people who are denying that this is gonna work, we're typically saying that the bullet's gonna be too wide and the drill bit is just not accurate enough to make, you know, decent bullets. And to those people, I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna lose your mind whenever I tell you about bullet sizers. So I knew that I was gonna have to size these bullets. That's not a big deal. As long as I got the rough shape, you know, that was good enough for me. So these bullets are definitely rough. And, I mean, all things considered, it does have kind of a pointed tip, and I'm willing to bet if I loaded this and fired it, it would probably work. It's got a 315 diameter. My drunken self trying to stay as steady as possible. I guess I shaved off a few thousandths of an inch. But a 315 diameter projectile, but it's a lead projectile. And oversized lead bullets are actually what you want whenever you're firing small caliber, high velocity projectiles. Like, for example, if I am shooting a 308 and I'm using lead rounds, like just straight non-jacketed lead rounds, I'm going to want to use, say, a 312 diameter or a 311 diameter projectile. Slightly oversized, that's what you want. So if I, say, fire my, I don't know, I got a #1 Mark III that has a 313 diameter bore. I slugged it, and that's what it slugged out to. This would probably be a good candidate for that. But what I did was I went ahead and I sized these bullets down to 311 diameter, and this right here is the results. Not the greatest of results, and I did shave a little bit of lead off in the sizing process, but all in all, these came out to about 145 grain bullets. And even though I'm not expecting tremendous accuracy out of these, I'm willing to bet that if I load these up with black powder, it's probably gonna send some lead downrange, at least a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not going to be something that I'm going to be shooting on a regular basis. If you notice on this projectile, there's nowhere to put any lubrication, and that's definitely going to be a problem because these are more or less going to be dry running through whatever it is that I decide to put them through. And that means that very, very quickly we're going to have issues with accuracy starting to form as black powder fouling starts to form inside the barrel, and as possibly leading starts to form inside the barrel as well. These are pretty hard cast bullets, so I don't think we're going to have any leading issues at black powder velocities. We're definitely going to have issues with black powder fouling building up inside the barrel fairly quickly, though. So it's not the greatest of designs, and the way I see it, there's definitely better bullet molds out there. But the reason why I did this is just because I wanted to see if I could do it. Like, hey, in the event that something goes horribly, horribly wrong, guess what? I got a piece of metal of basically any soft metal will work. I got a piece of metal and a drill bit. I'm just going to go ahead and drill this out and make myself some projectiles, and then I got myself projectiles. It's pretty cool that a 5/16 drill bit will give you 30 caliber bullets. I don't know how well they're going to work. We're going to actually take these out and test them. We're going to see how many rounds I can put through a rifle before I start to lose accuracy. But this right here is a super cool concept. So 311 diameter projectiles after sizing, and they're all around a 145 grain projectile. Some of them are a little bit heavier, some of them are a little bit lighter. This isn't exactly a precision mold. Like, I got a couple of 147s, I got 1 or 2 143s, but I'm willing to bet at the distances that I typically shoot at anyway, we're probably going to get fairly decent groups out of these. I think that they're going to really surprise me with how decent they are. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, if I have pie plate accuracy at 100 yards, that's still good enough for me. So I guess stand by for the test video. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. God, I can't believe that this thing worked. I tried attaching a, like an actual bullet, oh, what would you call it? Like those cutters that are on normal bullet molds. Like you pour through a steel plate, and once the mold is filled, you like move that steel plate to the side and it cuts off the end of the projectile. I tried putting something like that on the tip of this, but it did not work, and I discovered I had a wood chisel. So that's just kind of what I used, and that's the result. All right, I'll see you guys later. I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.